Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I'm going to break down if the Kansas City Chiefs should go out and make a trade for wide receiver Darius Slayton. So Chiefs Kingdom, the NFL trade deadline is quickly approaching, and right now, the wide receiver market is starting to dwindle. There aren't a lot of guys out there that might make sense via trade. We saw Davante Adams get shipped to the Jets. We saw a guy that we were monitoring very closely in Amari Cooper. He went to the Bills, and so there aren't a ton of options left that make sense for this Chiefs team. You know, there's guys like Diontae Johnson, there's guys like DeAndre Hopkins, maybe DJ Moore if the Bears feel comfortable shipping him off. But the guy that might make the most sense that not a ton of people are talking about is wide receiver Darius Slayton. Now, I know in the past I've talked about, how good Amari Cooper would be and how, Diontae Johnson could be the missing link to this offense. But Darius Slayton might make the most sense for what the Chiefs are trying to do schematically. I think he fits the system better than any other wide receiver out there that you could trade for. And so far in 2024, he's got 25 catches for 312 yards and 1 touchdown, and he's averaging 12.5 yards per catch. So the numbers are there. And if you just want to, do a simple comparison, Darius Slayton in 2024 has 312 yards and 25 more catches than Sky Moore. I mean, Sky Moore is a complete non-factor, and so the Chiefs need to go out and trade for somebody that can at least pick up the slack that Sky Moore has been leaving, because it's just unacceptable. And so whether that is a Demarcus Robinson, you can't sign MVS anymore, he just signed with the Saints, but Darius Slayton might make the most sense via trade. And the reason I say that is because he fits what the Chiefs are trying to do. He fits the prototype, wide receiver for this offense. Brett Veach has that connection in New York. We traded for Kadarius Toney a couple seasons ago. And the Giants aren't very good. They're not a team that is going to be fighting for a playoff spot. They've already got their wide receiver, one of the future, in Malik Neighbors. And so it might just make sense for the Giants to part ways with, Darius Slayton when he's had an okay season. Now, he's not the flashiest name. He's not somebody that is going to make a lot of Chiefs fans excited. But right now, the Chiefs are looking for producers. And if Brett Veach thinks that Slayton could come in after being, traded to Kansas City and spend a couple weeks learning the playbook and integrate himself into this offense, I think it's a good trade. And you kind of saw when, they made that trade for Kadarius Toney a couple years ago, the potential was there. Right away, Toney had some really good plays, in this offense back in 22. Obviously we remember him for the drop footballs last year and not being able to, be anything on the field. But I think that Slayton's not going to have those issues. And all things considered, I think Brett Veach feels comfortable trading with New York, and he likes the talent up there. So Darius Slayton is probably the guy that, if there's going to be any trade, it's either going to be Darius Slayton or Demarcus Robinson. And we've talked about Demarcus Robinson and, the thoughts on that. Listen, D-Rob's not anybody special, but at the end of the day, he's had a better season than Sky Moore. He's had a better season than Justin Watson. And so the Chiefs need to go out and try to find guys that can be impact players in this offense. And the harsh reality is there's not a ton of those guys at the trade deadline. There were a couple, but they got traded. No one's going to want to, give up any substantial draft capital to trade for a, DeAndre Hopkins who's in his 30s, and it might not make sense for the Bears to trade DJ Moore, and so the options just aren't there. You're stuck with, Diontae Johnson, who I would not hate at all, but that might not be the most realistic. He's got multiple years of team control, and so I think it might be Darius Slayton or Demarcus Robinson that make the most sense for the Chiefs, both of which kind of fit the offense in different ways. D-Rob just fits it because he knows the system and he was productive. He won a Super Bowl back here in 2020. And Slayton just fits the prototype of what Brett Veach looks for. He's fast. He's able to be a reliable pass catcher. They might throw him on the outside. They could put him in the slot. But I think that, for the production that you saw, that I read off, 25 catches, a little bit over 300 yards, and 1 touchdown, you're not going to have to give up a second or a third round pick. You could get Slayton for a 4th or a 5th, maybe even a 6th. So I'm definitely interested in the possibility of trading for Darius Slayton. I'm just of the mindset that right now, guys, the Chiefs need anything. Like anything would be better than Sky Moore. I read this stat in yesterday's post-game show, or I guess Sunday's post-game show. Wanye Morris has more receptions and receiving touchdowns than Sky Moore does in 2024. Sky Moore has been targeted twice. He has no catches for no yards and, of course, no touchdowns. And so he has two more, targets than I do in the same stat line. So I think that the need for a wide receiver is very apparent. I know that Brett Veach wanted to see what this team had after the Niners game, and that was what he was looking for to make a complete decision. I think you have your answer. You cannot go forward with Xavier Worthy and Mecole Hardman being your wide receiver 1 and 2 if you expect to compete for a Super Bowl. That's just not going to happen. And Darius Slayton doesn't, it doesn't bring in like 1,000-yard wide receiver talent, but he could get you maybe 300 to 400 more yards, and who knows what that could do for this offense. And I think it's a no-brainer for the Chiefs to go out and acquire somebody like Darius Slayton. So Chiefs Kingdom, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of Darius Slayton, and what do you think of the possibility of him teaming up with Patrick Mahomes in this offense? I know there's probably some other names that you guys are more in love with, but I'm just talking about, what I've seen, what I've heard. I've heard that Nate Taylor from The Athletic is very high on Darius Slayton, and there's been those rumors that have linked the two because Slayton is the best schematic fit for this offense. And I love Nate Taylor. I think that he's, speaks the truth, and he's a very good reporter. And so I think there is some legitimacy there. And so I think that Darius Slayton or, Demarcus Robinson are going to be in this offense before the November 5th trade deadline. So Chiefs Kingdom, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Which wide receiver do you want? Again, I think it could be either of those two, but I wouldn't hate a Deontay Johnson or even a, DeAndre Hopkins. But let me know what you guys think. That's all I have for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, go follow me on social media, Instagram and TikTok, KC_Sports Report, and Twitter at KC Sports Report. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.